Greetings, boys and ghouls. This is Dr. Von Mad. Welcome back to Catapult Time. We're going to try something new today. Even I don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to start with, you can see I've got quite an assortment of paints over here. Fixing to try painting some mums. I saw these mums at Walmart and I thought they were very pretty, so I thought, well, I got an idea. So we're going to try it. So the first thing we're going to do is kind of go in with the Spence technique of these spray stuff. Now, you see I got 3 different shades of yellow. So we're going to go in and we'll come across the top of this with a little bit of this. Just kind of. Now we're going to come across the middle with a Now we're going to come across the bottom with the dark, sort of a dark mustardy Dijon yellow. Yummy. Alright. I'm going to move my Q-tips. I'm going to need those, and I don't need them stained yellow. Move my camera so we don't get yellow paint on it, because that would not be fun for me. Alright, now. So, now what we're going to do, you can see I got an awful lot of paint, so it's probably going to be a little messy. But we're going to start like this, and bear with me with the sound. I have to kind of angle it a little bit. I don't want it blowing across each other. Really kind of creating a really weird pattern. Not exactly what I had in mind, but we'll see how it turns out. Just want to do this till the paint's set. Getting there. All right. That's where we're at currently. So let's get back to this now. Let me get my camera set where we can see what's going on. And now we can get to business. Now, I was doing a little research, and I know that chrysanthemum leaves, let's try saying that several times fast. Chrysanthemum, they're kind of oaky, almost oak-shaped leaves, kind of a tri-lobe sort of thing going on. But first we got to get a base. We got to get the stems put in place and how many flowers we want and what of this. We'll get to the flowers in a minute. This is where the experiment comes in. Alright, let me move my bar stool up here where I can get to it a little easier. Thank you. Now, let me grab this paint. Kind of want. I don't know if all these are going to have mums on them, but we're going to do what we can. Now, let's go in and make some of these leaves. Now, I'm going to bring in a different brush. I'll show you in just a second. I'm bringing in a kind of a long, pinpointy little brush to do this. more refined work. So remember, like I said, it's kind of a pointy sort of oak leaf looking thing. Give me a little more paint. Something like that. We'll do another one kind of off over here. May not be as well defined or as well shaped, but you'll get the idea, I think. Now we'll do another one maybe over here. I like doing flowers. Flowers are relaxing. Kind of come off like that with one lobe. Now up here with another. Now do one more. Ain't gotta be perfect. Nothing in this world really is. You just gotta find the beauty where you find it. Whew. Man, it's hot. You know, ideally, I believe that art is something that should be in the home. Because, I mean, we're seeing nowadays all over the world where the efforts of artists in the past being torn down by people who are just getting their feelings hurt over silly stuff. Stuff that didn't even involve them. You'd think the linear passage of time wasn't a thing or something. But, remember something. When they're going after a statue, they're not just going after the statue, they're going after the artist. Somebody commissioned that statue. So, you've got them. We've got a committee of people who wanted this thing to exist. You've got the vision of an artist. That's the culmination of all of his training, all of his experience, all of his imagination, all of his ingenuity. And you have the stone cutters. If the statue's in bronze, then you've got somebody who mined that metal to make the bronze. You've got the guy the sculptor who sculpted it probably in wax to do like a lost wax method. You've got the caster and the culmination of his art. You've got the stone cutters who cut the base, the guy who engraved the stone to put a thing on it, possibly carved it out to put a time capsule inside of it. You've got the people who grew up looking at that statue over their heads every day. Most of whom didn't have a problem till someone told them they did. Because at the end of the day, people who cancel culture cancel themselves. Because woke culture is a toxic thing. But let's get back to this now. We're just kind of... I've come in with a little bit of old ivy. Now I'm coming in with a little bit of wintergreen. or evergreen. Wintergreen's more of a bluish shade. Alright. Places where the paint did not stick very well. But, you know, people should be really careful. As an artist, I kind of find all that offensive that they would do this to someone's work. I wouldn't want it done to mine. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and blow dry this to get the effect that I'm wanting, because I need to be able to work on this tonight. So. Alright. Now we're going to come in with a lighter shade, in this case, Mossy Meadow. We're going to try to go with about 3 shades of every major color. We're going to try to go with that. I don't know if it's going to work out that way, but I brought some extra shades in case I didn't like that. Alright, let's start up here at the top. You know, just kind of wanting to hint at a highlight. These leaves are fairly dark, so kind of maybe hint at some veinage. Alright. See now. Now, I don't know, I may end up having to take one more shade of green on this, because that's still kind of dark. And I do want a little bit of a highlight. Especially when you kind of got that sort of a sun dapple effect in the background. We kind of need something, need a little bit lighter. So we'll bring in some spring green. Just to kind of let us know that it's there. So, I know I don't put on as many as I used to, but just been very busy, and honestly, being an artist has taken up a lot of my time since I've been disabled. That looks okay. Let's see what it looks like here from the camera's point of view. Let's see. I think that'll work. Now, here's where the fun part begins. We're going to try something new. Don't know if it'll work. Might end up being utter disaster. I'll try it with one flower at a time until we know for sure. So I need to show you the brush in just a moment. Which one of these is kind of a nondescript little brush. Just kind of watch what I'm doing here. I'll paint one whole flower, and then we'll try the rest like that. Clean my brush off because I think I may got just a little bit too much, but it's a learning process. Seeing as the paint's not exactly wet, it's not exactly watered down like the spray stuff is. Let's see how this paint goes. I'm just trying to set it. As you can see, I've probably gone a tad impasto on it. That is, the paint is a little thick. So let's go on and maybe move some of this paint out of the center again, using the same brush. So I wanted to follow the same trails it took the first time, just enough to pull some of that extra paint out of the center. Alright. Now, we're going to come in with the next shade. And that would be something called Fruit Punch. It's kind of a reddish pink or pinkish red. So we're going to bring in a little bit of that. And maybe try something on the next one. Remember, this is kind of an experimental process, and it seems to be mixing, so definitely very experimental. Yeah, it's mixing, so we're going to have to dry that a little bit more. And then we'll come back to the Fruit Punch. Alright. Alright guys, I had to start the camera back up. Alright, we're going to try this again. So the first thing we're going to do is let's get our brush back out, because I'm going to kind of catch the paint that's still wet and kind of thin it out a little bit. See, it's not as, it's almost. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to put a little dot in the middle. That was more than I wanted, but we'll work with that. Part of this is the Dollar Tree paint, and part of this is the apple barrel stuff I normally use. I'm gonna have to do that with some of these, and I got a little bit of a thing going down here, so I'm going to have to probably paint over one of these here leaves, because I kind of messed up. Got a paint splatter where I didn't need one, so we'll do one more traditional down here, and then we'll get back to what we were doing. I'll probably have to shade this one a little differently. So definitely going to be a bit impasto. So. Now, run the blow dryer over both of them. Try a different brush. See if it's going to tear on us. Yeah, it's going to tear a little bit, so we better not mess with that too much. Alright, let's come in with another shade and put on top of it, and this time I'm going to go and more traditional with it. So what we learned from that is that maybe this technique doesn't work as well because the fact that the paint gets it's too much risk of getting too thick. But that's kind of par for the course. Sometimes the experiments work, and sometimes you blow up the lab. So, c'est la vie. C'est la vie. Come down here and hit this other flower. I'll probably paint the rest of them more traditional, but that's okay. It's a learning process, and sometimes you have an idea, and today's failure may be tomorrow's success. So never give up. Or maybe I'll just figure out that maybe we need to take more time doing it. Now, there's a thought. I'm going to work on this one here while I'm letting that one big heavy one up there dry. We'll work on trying to get some of these others put in place. Let's try something, because this is purely experimental. We'll play around with it a little bit. No more than that, and we got a little bit of squirrely squirrel here, so let's see. Use a little less paint this time. I think that may be the ticket. And maybe I shouldn't have went quite so dark on that other one. But, again, a learning process. Let's try another one down here and just barely put any. That was perfect. See? It's that little tiny dot now. I think a lot of this new idea of mine is going to hinge heavily on control of the bottle, of the paint bottle. So if that gets too big, that gets too heavy, you're going to have problems with it. So if you get too much coming out, so it's a tricky thing, but like I said, this is purely experimental, so it's not a right way or a wrong way to do it at this point. So we're going to try one more method. Let me clean off my lid. We'll try one more, just a little tiny pin prick. Now, I picked chrysanthemums or mums, and I'm not going to go too crazy with this one because I don't want to make it quite so complex. I just kind of want a more simplistic concept on this one. There's going to be 4 different styles, and that's okay. Like I said, we're trying some new things here today. Let's go ahead, put the front fruit punch and the magenta to one side, and let's blow dry this dude. Alright, we'll start with the driest one. Let's check on this big guy up here and see how he's coming along. Hey, he's about ready. We can start actually kind of working on him a little bit even. Alright, we're going to grab a kind of a wedgie shaped little brush right here. Let's grab some, I think we just got through using the magenta. Let's bring in Pink Melon. Now they got this one at Hobby Lobby in Jackson, Tennessee. So we're going to start down here with this guy. Probably a little bit too much pink, not enough purple. We'll get the point across. So right now, what we're trying to do is get the idea that there's some light. You know, there's some light over at the Frankenstein place. No. Alright. Let's see. Now, let's come up here and work on this one. I probably should grab some really pale pink. I've actually got some, but I did not think to bring it. I did not bring it into the workshop today. And I'm going to regret that. But again, live and learn. Live and learn. We don't learn anything if we never try. So wait till it's still wet and kind of come in with a little white paint to kind of maybe create my own sort of pink highlights that way. I do have one other shade of pink that we're going to throw on this. So we still got to get it sort of highlighted. Now we'll come up here on the big guy. On this one that's really kind of, the first one we tried that was kind of an experimental, like I said. So trying to hit the same brush strokes that we had before. Not always going to hit them, especially with this one flower. It's just bound and determined to be a problem child. Alright. Let's grab, really should have brought that pale pink. Oh well. This paint's still wet, so we'll try it. I think I can get it to mix enough to let me get the colors I need, so. Grab my, no, not that brush. No, not that one. This one here. It's kind of a little short, pointy brush. And we're going to snap off a little bit of that green, of that pink. And just kind of, I may have to come in. I may end up having to go get that pink. Maybe not. There we go. Starting to get that blend like I wanted. There we go. It's actually coming along rather nicely. It's probably going to have to be blended a bit, but I am wishing I'd brought that pale pink into this mix. So I've got a beautiful pale pink that would have done this job really, really well. Fortunately, this, there we go, had a little bit of wet paint still that we can use to kind of pink up this blue, this white paint. And just kind of, there we go. Got a little bit off the top here. See how I'm doing that? Because all your light source I'm wanting to come from kind of that way. Run a little bit, pick up a little bit more of this white paint. I still got about 2 minutes left. Really snap some of this off and come over here with this one. Let's see. I'm fixing to restart this, so. Let's see, do I have another shade of bright pink? I have pink eraser, so we're going to try a little bit of that to kind of soften up all that white. That's actually probably would have done better as a highlighter anyway, but let's see what we can do. So it looks like it should be kind of a no. Yeah, I really wish I'd have brought that. If you're doing this one and you get access to an almost pale pink, like a cameo pink or a kind of a real pale carnation, go for it, because it will help, believe me. Still, not horrible, not horrible. Alright, next step. I've got to paint the centers of these flowers, and I got 49. Alright. Alright, coming into the final stretch. This time we're coming in with a little yellow again. Coming full circle. In this case, Golden Sunset from Apple Barrel Paints. And we'll grab a different brush as well. We don't need anything quite as delicate as a pinpoint brush. Now we're just going to come into the center and do that. And that. That one's got a little bit of wet paint for some reason still. Now we're going to come in and get a little bit and come up here in the center of this guy. Do the same. There we go. Now, it don't look like much yet, but we got something planned. Because we're only going to be really using 2 colors of yellow on this one. So for this, let's bring a little yellow pale daffodil to the party. And I've got an open container of that. No, I thought I had an open container of that. Or do I? No. I got this container here, so I'll use what I got here. Now here's where the Q-tips come in. So we're going to go ahead before we do this and blow dry this thing again to kind of get that center to dry, because I don't want it messing it up when I start doing it. Alright, that should do it, because I didn't use a whole lot. I didn't use a great deal of paint. Now, if I had some really tiny Q-tips, we could probably get away with like bundling them together. I've seen Jay Lee on Jay Lee Art do that, and his channel is definitely worth a look into if you're into art. He does some really innovative stuff. Very cool, very cool. Alright. So what I've got here is I got this little paint. One of these has got a little applicator on the end, and what we're going to do is barely tap it and just come up here and do this with it. Just all over the interior. Little dots all over the interior. You don't want to go too crazy with it. I'll probably have to come in and put even kind of just. You just want to know that they're there. So I went a little crazy on that first one. I may have to come in and put some. Let me get a little more of this paint. Dip that. There we go. Just very gently. This could be used for a lot of different techniques. And true to form, that one was a tad impasto. you may have to switch out your applicator like I'm about to, because the little cotton ball thingy is getting mired up, and the detail's not as fine as it was when we started. Now, over here, let's do the same thing. Alright, now we're not quite done. Almost. We're going to blow dry this again, because I got one more shade I'm going to throw on this thing. And that shade is, I've got something called Toasted Marshmallow. And I'm going to come. And that was your regularly scheduled battery fill, brought to you by Energizer. Or is it Never Ready? Anyways, let's finish this up. Let's bring this puppy home, shall we? I need that same little pointy brush I was using just a minute ago. We're going to come up here and just kind of dot it. And you may not even notice it being there. But I just kind of want to hit it with just a little bit of off-white. Just to kind of highlight. It's kind of like putting salt in food. You would probably not notice it there unless it wasn't there. Now me, I don't salt very often, so take that for what it's worth. I use a lot of other spices. Alright, now really, I really could have thought to get that pink. I'll be right back. I'm back. Alright, I went and got the Cameo Pink, which is kind of a real pale pink. We're going to use that to kind of shore up our highlights a little bit. So if I'd have thought about it, I'd have grabbed it when I was bringing my supplies in here. Just kind of see how that works. Want to follow your brush strokes. It's like following somebody through the snow. You just want to follow their tracks. So, just kind of hinting. Now, same thing over here. I grab just a little bit of water to soften that up, just a hair. So I don't like that. I don't want it to look like it was kind of like Play-Doh plastered on there. That would not be fun. So kind of just soften up the brush strokes just ever so slightly. There we go. Just ever so slightly. Now, come over here. On that first one that we did, I said, this is a learning process. And even then, this did not turn out horrible. So, I mean, as proof of concept, it kind of works. As much as I paint flowers, a lot of people always say, take your time. I never understood that. I take exactly the amount of time that I need. to go ahead and give it the epithet. I don't know. That color is way too pale for that task. So let's see what we can do. Yeah, slightly darker shade. That pale pink's just way too pale. Usually I sign it with the last color I was working on, that I worked with, but that color's just way too pale. You can't really see it up against that, even against that yellow. So come with a little blood red. You remember this kind of a dark oxide red? It's the first color that I used on the flower. You'll notice I did not bring it back for the rest. Sign it XXI for the Roman numeral 21 for 2021. Now, if you like this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to get notified. I will say this. We make art. Nothing but art. So, this is Dr. Von Mad signing off. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook. I'm not doing as much with Patreon or anything like I once was. We got one more thing we need to do. I got a little bit of this matte finish type stuff. And I got some of my paintings laying over here. Alright. What that does is seals in the paint. Now, there you are, guys. Enjoy. Have fun and go paint something. Remember, you are built in God's own image. That echo of the very first words ever spoken, "Let there be light," echoes through you. That means God, a little piece of God is inside of each and every one of us. That means we can go paint and create and do things and sculpt and make the world a more beautiful, better place. So, enjoy yourselves. Bye-bye.